Hey guys, I wanted to give you a little feedback on a purchase I made for mountain biking. That is related to the Akaso Brave 7 LE, which is an action camera. Just to give you a little background, I had a GoPro Hero 7 Black, and I was riding over at Oak Mountain in Birmingham, and because of my own fault, I lost that camera and was unable to find it. So anyway, I had to get a new action camera, and I decided I would take a chance and get an Akaso Brave 7 LE. I figured I'd gotten by with the Hero 7 and the technology maybe was close. Anyway, the bottom line was the Akaso 7 LE did not work out for me as a mountain bike camera to do film mountain biking, and I'd like to go in and explain a little bit as to the problems I had with it. First of all, the camera had some nice things. It was very cheap. I got the Akaso for just a little over $100. When I got it and set it up and started using it, it was very easy to navigate the controls. The touch screen worked really well, and it had a lot of nice accessories that helped using the camera. But there were a bunch of cons that came with that. First thing I noticed right away after I took some pictures with it, the noise reduction on the camera did not seem to work very well. If I did not have the noise reduction on, there was a lot of extraneous noise as I was riding, made it difficult to hear what I was saying when I was talking. If I turned the noise reduction feature on, it made my voice, the volume was very low and it was hard to hear what I was saying. So that was a real problem. Second thing, the stabilization, whether I had it turned on or turned off, it did not seem to work very well. There was a lot of movement with the camera and the picture. The third thing is the pictures on the camera seem to be washed out and not very good picture quality. But probably the biggest problem I had with it was in a GoPro, when you mash the camera to start it, it beeps once to let you know the camera's on, and when you mash the button again to turn it off, it beeps twice so that you know the camera's off. With the Akaso, when you mash the button to turn it on, it beeps once, and when you mash the button to turn it off, it also beeps once. So I never was really confident that the camera was either on or off. I was constantly fidgeting, trying to figure out whether it was on or off. So that was a problem. But that, combined with the fact that the sound of the beeps was very low. It was hard to hear the beeps, and you couldn't increase the volume enough on the beeps so that you could hear it. And so that caused me to never really know whether the camera was on or off. And several times I took pictures or thought I was taking pictures when I wasn't, or I rode when I thought the camera was off and it was on. So that was a problem. The camera had a remote control with it, which was nice, but the remote control only worked when the camera was turned on. So if the camera was not turned on and you mashed the button, it wouldn't turn the camera on. And because the beeps were so low volume, sometimes I mashed the button thinking the remote had turned the camera on when it didn't. So anyway, the remote didn't work very well. Also, the camera, to turn it on, you had to mash a separate button, and it was very difficult to mash the button. And then the camera made a very unique sound when it was turned on, which was really great. But the problem was it was very hard to hear the sound. It was so low volume. So I never really knew whether I had the camera on. Some other things that weren't quite as big a problem, but were problems, is that it did have a front and a back screen, but you could not have both screens on at the same time. And if you had it on and you wanted to switch from the back screen to the front screen or vice versa, you couldn't do that. You had to turn the camera off, switch the screen, then turn it back on, basically. That didn't work. The camera also attached, it had a funny attachment, and since I had lost my other GoPro because the mounting broke, I was constantly worried that I was going to lose the camera because the way it attached with the thumb screw and everything just was not very sturdy. It didn't feel like. And then the wide view on the camera was really not that wide, or I didn't think it was nearly as wide as my GoPro Hero 7. So in conclusion, I'm not saying not to buy the Akaso Brave 7 LE. I'm just saying that it did not work for me, and those are the reasons that it did not work. So anyway, I hope you found that helpful, or you get some information out of it that helps you when you're trying to decide which action camera to buy for mountain biking. Okay, guys, I'll see you at the top.